Hey man, how are you?
There we go. We figured it out.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Alex. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely happy to be here. How you guys doing? What's up, Rob Ty, my man? All the love to Rob. Rob's a great
Yeah,
guy. We've been
yeah.
Rob is a great guy. We've been working
Sorry.
together for some time. I've known him for quite some time in the biz, so it's good to see him on here, man.
Yeah, beautiful. We'll be doing a digital radio show together very shortly, so that'll be launched next week.
Love it.
So we'll be
I'm Garen.
co-hosts. We recorded the first one, and I was just sitting there with a glass of wine, and we're talking some shit. So it was good fun.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Everyone, go subscribe to that new show.
So, Alex, yeah, thank you for coming on, man. I'm really excited to hear about your story, how you got into being a media member, how you then transitioned into basically working for yourself. So, have you always had a keen interest in media and advertising?
Yeah, so here's kind of the baseline of how this all came about. So when I graduated university or college here in the United States, I did not
Yep,
know what I wanted to do when I graduated. I
standard.
graduated as a psychologist,
Yeah, wow.
and I went on my first day as an externship. I realized that the job that I thought I wanted, which was being a forensic psychologist, was something that was not fit for me for
Okay.
a lot of things that we don't have to dive into. But the point is, it just wasn't the right fit at that moment. I wanted to do something that
Yep.
I felt comfortable and confident in, that I could make a difference for people with. And that wasn't really fitting the bill. So I felt like I was back at
Yeah,
square
understood.
one. I just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to university, 4 years of my life. Felt like at that moment it was down the drain. And it was pretty upsetting, to say the least. So I fell back to what was comfortable, because when we don't know what to do, we fall back to what's comfortable and what's easy. And
Of
that's
course.
how we are as human beings. My first challenge to
Yeah.
everyone today is, don't fall back to what's comfortable. Do what's uncomfortable. Step out of your comfort zone to create better opportunities for yourself and in your life, because it will always be the better opportunity when you step out of your comfort zone. But anyways, I fell back into my
Yeah,
comfort
definitely.
zone, which was sports. I'm a big sports fan. And as Ross
Nice.
has mentioned, I'm a big NFL and MMA fan. The NFL is the football league here in the United States, and my hometown team was the Miami Dolphins. Now, I still lived in Florida at the time, and basically what I wanted to do was become a Miami Dolphins media member. It was a dream job as a kid. I didn't think it would be
Yeah.
something that I'd be able to pursue as an adult, but I had no journalism experience. I had no really reason to be asking for the opportunity. But basically what
Yeah.
I did was I sent out emails to, I don't know, maybe 200 different affiliate websites that are writing about the Miami Dolphins. I got hooked up with
Yep.
a Sports Illustrated affiliate, the only person that made an offer to pay me rather than do it for exposure. Very
Yep.
classic line in media these days, doing it
Yep.
for exposure.
Yeah.
So I got that opportunity, and I thought from there, oh, now I'll get the credential. I'll be a Miami Dolphins media member. Woohoo, win. No, that's not how it
Nice.
went.
No.
See, what happened was they actually told me that to do that, you have to actually get their credential. We don't help you do that at all, but
Oh
now you have
shit.
the
Okay.
name to utilize. So I found online the Miami Dolphins media department. I called the PR department 60 days in a row, literally 60 days in a row, every single day. And I heard every excuse in the book as to why I couldn't get on the call with the actual person to make the decision to say, yes, you're credentialed, you're in, come to be a part of this. The gatekeeper gave me the
Yeah.
classic, oh, he's at lunch, he's not available today, he's in a meeting, every possible one you can imagine. And she definitely regurgitated and reused the lines, and she got to recognize that I was going to call every day until I got this chance. And that really was what I was going to do.
That's awesome.
Ultimately, what happened was
Yeah, I love
she
it.
she became more exasperated than I was. See, I wasn't going to tire. Certainly, I felt down on myself that it wasn't working. And 2 months, when you say a story in this short amount of time, it makes 2 months and 60 days seem like nothing. It was time, and I definitely felt that time.
Yeah.
But I also wasn't going to let it slip through my fingers. I was going to let them become tired before I became tired. Persistence is really the
Yeah.
key.
Excellent.
So finally, she let me get through. She's like, okay, yep, he's available. Here it is. And there it is, 60 days in a row. I've called, and now this 30-second wait tone, all of a sudden, all that doubt starts creeping in. Wait, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe this wasn't the right idea. Maybe this is not what I'm meant to be. Why am I going after Miami Dolphins? Blah, blah, blah. All the doubt starts crippling in. What do I even say to this guy? I've been preparing it for 60 days, and I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
He picks up the phone, and boom, I'm back on. And I'm back on my zone. And there's something to be said about that, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But I got into my zone right away. And was like, hi, I'm Alex Schlinsky. I'm a huge Miami Dolphins fan since I was a little kid. It's been a dream job of mine to become a Miami Dolphins media member. I work for a Sports Illustrated affiliate. I live here in Miami. I'd love the opportunity to come and be a credentialed media member this Sunday. And it came out, and for me, I felt, that was confident. I felt good about what I said. I'm going to crush it. All he said was, yes, I'll see you Sunday. Click. I've been waiting 60 days to speak to this guy, to get a credentialed media member. And all that it was, the big moment of my life was, yep, see you there. Click. The guy could give two craps about what I just said to him, but what he just told me was a life-changing moment. This was something that can never be taken away from me, to be a Miami Dolphins media member, something that I wanted since I was literally 5 years old. And I accomplished that. And it was an amazing, amazing thing. I went that weekend to the Miami Dolphins game. I was a media member. When at the end of the game, I did my reports. I was on ESPN, the whole shebang, the whole kid and caboodle, and it was incredible. But at the end of the day, that eventually wears off. The dream job wears off to reality. And the reality was I was getting paid jack to do this, working insane hours. And the worst part was I felt like I was doing something that didn't fulfill me. And I really love sports. Get this. I'm obsessed. It's my favorite escape from the world of business and life personally. That's my thing. It's just like, I love watching basketball. I love watching the football. That's just what I love to do. But there's no fulfillment to it. I'm not making a difference for someone else. The good parts about sports that I really enjoyed, besides for the actual sporting event, is when an athlete uses their platform for something bigger, like Make-A-Wish Foundation or helping a huge charity out. That's amazing. That's a good thing to do. As a journalist, I wasn't really writing about that, nor was I facilitating that in any way. And I felt like I was not doing what I was meant to do on this earth, which is making a difference for people. So again, I felt like I was back at square one. But life has this incredible way of like providing serendipitous moments to you at the exact moment that you believe you need it. So I was at a local MMA event. I also did MMA writing at that time in Hollywood, Florida. And I was looking at this guy who was on his laptop, and he was looking at a Twitter application I'd never seen before. It's called TweetDeck. It doesn't really matter. But the point was, I sparked up a conversation with this guy because I was interested in the app. And he told me 3 words I had never heard. I'm a social media manager. A what? A social what? Social media what? I get paid $1,500 a month to post 3 to 5 times a day for this business that you see here, and then once a month they'll fly me out to their events, and I post for them on a live stream, and they pay me X amount per hour. And my mind was blown. At that time, I was getting paid maybe $2 to $5 per article, making maybe $500 a month or so. Barely scraping by, not being confident in being able to pay rent, wanting to my fiance, who's now my wife, we wanted to, have a great honeymoon and a wedding, and just there was no finances to be able to bootstrap what I was trying to accomplish. And then all of a sudden, this new opportunity comes to fruition. This is 2014, the next 2 months, basically, all I focused on was how can I leave the world of journalism and move into digital marketing full time? And I just learned as much as I could until another serendipitous moment happened from the same guy, called me up out of the blue. And he told me, hey, I got hired by a large media company here in Seattle, and I need to hand off some of my clients. And I think you'd fit the bill. Because all of his clients were MMA clients. He didn't ask me to pay him a finder's fee. He didn't ask me for any referral. He didn't ask me for anything. All he was doing was from being out of goodwill and knowing that with the position I was in, got me on the phone with the owner. It wasn't a sales call. It was like, here's the guy that's taking over. Here's the guy that you have to pay. It's the most incredible thing ever. Suddenly my revenue went from $500 a month working my ass off, doing something I wasn't filled in, to now I have 3 digital marketing clients that I'm doing social media management for, each paying me $1,500 a month. What is going on right now? What is going on?
That's awesome.
I'll tell you, that dinner that night that Shira and I took, very amazing. That's my wife. But outside of that, it was just like, this is unbelievable, And from there, his goodwill and the fortune of how I kind of stumbled into this business really led me to focusing in it full force. It felt like a sign, like may not be the most spiritual person in the world, but when you get hit with these real strong realities in life, especially as a growing adult from 18 to 28, 30 plus, those are really like formative years. And when you hit something that you can really tell is like, okay, this is a big transition moment. This is a big pivot. You might not know what happens in the long run. None of us have the ability to see the future, but you can tell. Those moments, right? Like when you spoke to Rob and you're like, this is going to be our podcast. We're going to make that. There's a moment there that's created that happens. And from there, you know, I focused everything I could, funneled into all the courses and mentorships I could. Every finance that I made, I invested right back in. And basically what ended up happening was we had an incredible, successful 2015. We had a 6-figure agency. We lost everything because we had zero retention fulfillment system at all. But what we did do really well was prospecting like beasts and selling like beasts. We were unstoppable. No one could stop us in getting new clients. Could we retain those clients for more than 2 months? No. So that was a huge problem for us. We made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. So what I focused on the remainder of that time was focusing on what I'm good at. And this is something I want everyone to be focused on as you listen to Ross, myself, and anyone that you listen to. Understand what you're good at, be self-aware, know your strengths, delegate your weaknesses. It's okay. Now, weaknesses business-wise doesn't mean as a human being to delegate your weaknesses. If you're someone that's impatient or gets angry a lot, work on those things. But if you're someone that doesn't like numbers, don't be your own accountant. Hire someone to do that. It's not that hard.
Amen.
It's not that hard, right? And I'm telling you that as someone that's not good with numbers. So just do that.
Man, I hate accounting.
Exactly, right? So you just need to know, self-aware of your business attributes. So what we did was we hired managers to handle the retention side and fulfilled our business to the next level. And we started Prospecting on Demand, which is our digital marketing, entrepreneur, mastermind, and course training, where we help a group of entrepreneurs grow their business from either 0 to 10 figures plus, or additionally 10 more figures. Now, you said something in the beginning. I wasn't able to correct you, unfortunately, because you were started. No big deal. You said a couple dozen. So in 2017, this is probably my favorite thing I could share. In 2017, of the 150 people that joined Prospecting on Demand, 55 plus generated their first 6-figure year in POD.
Wow, okay.
Now, even better than that,
PR sheet.
even better than that,
My bad.
Even better than that is, of the 150 that actually purchased or joined us, only 102 actually opened the course material. So about half of the people we had last year had their first 6-figure year. And that's amazing. That's what I wanted to do.
That's phenomenal.
Oh, it was great. And that's what I wanted to do when I got started with this. Like I told you, when I was a journalist, I didn't feel like I was doing something that fulfilled me. I wanted to do something that fulfills me by providing for other people's families, for making a difference for people. When someone messages me and says, Alex, you won't believe it, I landed these 2 new clients, I can now pay rent, or I can take my kid to Disney, or I'm not worried about the car payment. That's what I'm living for. That's what I'm doing this for. Also to provide for my family and my selfish needs, which is totally fine. There's not a problem with that.
Of course.
But
absolutely.
I want to do something that makes a difference. I want to do something that's going to help the people that I work with, you know, and that's really, really big and important to us in Prospecting on Demand in the POD family. Steph is on here. She's part of the POD fam. What's up, Steph? We love you. What's up, Ross?
Thank you, everyone
Ross
that's tuning in.
Yeah, guys, by the way,
let's have a look who's on. Amanda, thank you. Raina. Everyone that's jumped on, thanks so much. Absolutely. Jump in, put them in the comments. Say hello. We'd love to hear from you. If you're on the replay, hashtag replay.
Hell yeah. I have a couple of things that I want to bring up here as I finish the story out. So we had a very successful 2015. We started Prospecting on Demand, had a very successful 2016. 2017 was by far most successful year. I was outside of my digital marketing agency completely, hired managers, focused 100% of my time on POD and helping the people grow in our coaching program and consulting, and it's all been amazing. But here's the most important thing when you hear these stories, and I think this is the biggest key. It's all a highlight reel. Everything I'm sharing with you is just a highlight reel. It's just these are the highlights. Here's the 50 people that we had success with, and here's the time that I made a lot of money, and here's the opportunity that fell into my lap, and here's the serendipitous moment, and here's the 60 days that I worked really hard. Here's the thing, though. Out of all the successes that I share or anyone else to share online, in person, in video, whatever it might be, it's just a highlight reel. Don't get distracted by just the successes. Understand that every success before that was many, many mistakes and missteps. Now, I'm very careful about utilizing that terminology and not saying failures for a specific reason. And that's because I don't believe in failures. I believe failure is only when you give up, when you cease to
I say that all the time.
Right?
Fail forward, basically. It's just feedback. That's all it is.
Fail forward is a great one. I like that one a lot. I used to live by that motto, but I try now to remove failure completely from my vocabulary.
Of course.
And instead, what I focus on is mistakes and missteps. Every mistake has a learning consequence to it. That's what your parents would always tell you, right? Your parents would always tell you, every action has a consequence to it. Every mistake has a consequence, positive or negative. It might be a very positive thing that you learn from. It might be a very negative thing that you might need to learn from as well, but that's okay. It's all learning experience. And Amanda Parr wrote Wins and Lessons. What I do, my motto is as follows.
I love that,
Win or learn. That's what I do. Succeed or learn, win or learn, same idea. That's what I do in everything in life. And that's how I'm able to focus on how to succeed. A lot of people, what happens is they lose, they fail, they find out that they don't get the desired result. They fall back into this pit of shame, self-misery, self-doubt, and it really crumples their opportunity from keeping momentum. And that's a huge problem. Momentum is the key to an entrepreneur because you're the one fueling this business. Now, if you have a larger business, hopefully you do, that's good. But I'm guessing most of the people we're speaking to here are individual entrepreneurs within 5 people teams, meaning you're a big focus of that team. And if you're not confident, if you're not up to the task, if you're not feeling it today, you're going to feel down. One of the things I tell the POD members is the idea of like not putting such an onus on every single sales call. And I think this is a great way to talk about failure versus missteps or mistakes. People will like have this one sales call booked on Wednesday and they prepare for it on Monday and Tuesday, and then on Wednesday comes and they don't get the desired outcome, meaning payment. And what happens is now the rest of Wednesday is ruined because I can't work the rest of the day because all I'm thinking about is the mistake or misstep I made. And then Thursday and Friday is trying to recoup what you missed on Wednesday rather than just learning what you've done. See, instead of putting all the onus and pressure on one, have the abundance mindset. Have the idea that this is one of a million. This is one of my many opportunities that's coming, even if it's the biggest opportunity you've ever had. And I've had so many huge opportunities that I've completely dropped the ball on. And that's totally understandable because I was out of my element. To get in your element, you first have to step out of it to realize what is your element. Once you step outside of your comfort zone, that's where you can find what is comfortable. I just made a post the other day. What was once uncomfortable becomes comfortable. And if you're comfortable, become uncomfortable. That's the entire point of being an entrepreneur, to figure out what the next step is to get up the ascension ladder, to find out where your next success will be. So don't just focus just on the individual outcomes. Focus on the greater understanding of the overall picture of what you're trying to accomplish and learn from each scenario. A couple ways to do that. One, record every single sales call. That's huge. I don't know why not everyone does that. Record every single sales call you have.
Great tip there. Great tip.
Never, ever stop asking for feedback, ever. Doesn't matter what you believe you are. Doesn't matter how ego-driven you are. Stop worrying about positioning. I get this asked to me all the time, but Alex, what about my positioning? If I ask them, for feedback, it makes me seem like I'm not an expert or a guru anymore. What? So I switch it on them. The people I'm coaching, I say, hey, let me ask you a question. What did you think of this call? Anything I could do better? And they start giving me some feedback. Like, oh, maybe in the first 10 minutes we can focus on what I did last week rather than diving into this. Oh, that's good feedback. Okay. Cool. Hey, let me ask you a question. Did I just ruin my positioning? Are you never going to do coaching with me again? What are you talking about, Alex? Why would I do? Oh, right, because you asked for feedback. Got it. The idea here is no one ever knows everything. No one ever knows everything. No one expects me to know everything. No one expects you to know everything, Ross. In fact, it's better to not know everything because here's what you can do. You can be a human. Hey, Ross, do you have the numbers on that ad set from 2384 on the weekend of March 25th with this exact ad set, blah, blah, blah. If you were just able to regurgitate that out, there's probably something wrong in the business. That's one. But other than that, the real reality is, hey, Chad, I appreciate you asking that. I've got it written down. I will look into it, and I will get back to you. That is a professional response. People will appreciate that, meaning he's willing to help me, not he has to know everything. You don't have to know everything.
Exactly.
You're not hiring someone to know everything. Does your doctor automatically know everything? Do they ever want you to get a second opinion? Do they ever want to confirm with another doctor? Does that ruin their positioning? Does it ruin their credibility?
No, absolutely not.
Of course not. Of course not. It's the opposite, in fact. It makes them more credible because it shows that they're not just ego-driven. Oh, you want a second opinion? Well, bye. I'm out of here, right? Like, no.
I'd rather die. Like, it's fine.
Exactly. No doctor would ever say that because they understand that you have a right to the second opinion because it might be very valuable to hear that. Just like when someone asks me about my course, they're like, Alex, is your course the only course I could buy? Well, no. There's hundreds of them. Here's why you should buy mine. Here's the competitive advantage. Here's why I believe this is the value. But ultimately, of course, there's other opportunities. What do you think? I'm just so ego-driven that all I'm going to say is this is number one only, and you can't get value from anywhere else. It doesn't work that way. Honest marketing and forward-thinking marketing is really the best way to feel good about yourself, to be confident in what you're doing, and feel like you're doing something that's fulfilling in your life. And I think that's great. Thanks, James. Happy you enjoyed those examples, man.
Yeah, no, phenomenal value so far. Yeah, so Alex, this is an awesome chat so far already. I know a lot of people tuning in. They're getting so much value from this. If you are getting value, if you could drop hashtag value in the comments and smash that like button as well, that'd be phenomenal. So yeah, man, I'd love to hear. So I guess once you started to build your business, what really, what clicked? Like when you started to help so many people, how did you just know? Because you were saying before about, you know, you're not spiritual in that sense, but you just kind of knew that the energy that was coming about.
It's a good question. So I think what happened, I'll give you a little bit of an interesting story that I think will resonate. I was a really good student in high school and in college. I worked really, really hard to get the best grades. I don't have the answer as to why I did that. I think it was more for what I thought would be for the future rather than my own need and desire to be top of the class or something like that. But there's something more important than both of those things. And that was wanting my parents to be proud of me. That was really important to me ever since I was like, I don't know, 2. Like, and I'm guessing a lot of people resonate with that. They want their parents to be proud. And that really does matter to me a lot. One of the big things that I remember, one of the big learning experiences for my dad was we had a group project. Let's say I'm maybe 15 at the time, one of my first group projects. You know, I'm far removed from business life, but I'm involved heavily into the school life. And now I'm in a networking opportunity for the first time to do a group project. And if you remember, in university, group projects are like the bane of everyone's existence. No one wants to be a part of that because one person's pulling all the workload. So like my goal in the group was like to set up the expectations for everyone else, basically be the manager. And someone actually requested that I be that person because they thought I could handle that. And that was interesting to hear someone else tell me that I could handle it. I wasn't positioning myself in that scenario at 15, but someone told me that they believe I should be there. And I remember very, very distinctly calling my dad after school that day in my house. And he was still at work, and I called him and I said, you know, Dad, I feel so amazing right now. Like, I can't explain to you how I feel. First of all, this guy recommended that I should be this, right? That was number one. He recommended I should be the leader. And number two, I like accomplished so much, and we like did a to-do list and we marked it all off, and I feel amazing. And I told him that, like, I felt different. Like, I had a feeling of physiological response to this feeling, endorphin, serotonin. I felt good. I had no anxiety. It was just an amazing feeling. I remember this very clearly. And he told me, he said, Alex, that's because what you've just done is you feel accomplished. You feel fulfilled. That's what life really is about. It's not just about the money. It's not just about what determinant of success. It's about feeling fulfilled. And so for me, I've been always seeking that fulfillment. I've always been seeking the fulfillment to be satisfied with what I'm doing, not just financially, which is of course very important, but feeling fulfilled that I'm doing something that matters. And when people, like I said, message you that you're making a difference in their life, that you're helping them provide for their family, that really resonates with me. I have a family, I have a beautiful wife right here, right next to me. We want to have children. I want to provide for them. So when someone tells me that, that's extremely powerful to me. I don't look at people as, clients, leads, prospects, cents, or dollars. They're humans, just like I am, with ups and downs, highs and lows, problems and successes. And if I can make any difference in their life at all, that's amazing. Just like the people in my life that have made differences for me. And I'm always making sure that I can tell them thank you as much as possible because it matters. And I know that's what fulfills them.
It does.
Right? That's why teachers, when you hear these amazing stories of like people that were really downtrodden and they had this incredible teacher that enlightened them and that changed their life for the next 20 years, but the teacher was in the dark for the 20 years. They didn't know that they changed that person's life until they come back and say, you haven't taught me since 2000, but I want you to know in the last 18 years, that one thing you taught me in 2000 changed my life. That's like a life-changing moment for them. That's a reassuring moment that they're doing something that's right. So I think feeling fulfilled is something that's super unappreciated in entrepreneurship because it's super focused on financials. But I think that's a really, really big key. Someone asked me recently, like, Alex, what do I focus on? I'm just trying to make a lot of money. And I said, well, that's the problem. You're just trying to make a lot of money. Like, if you're just trying to make a lot of money and you're really smart, literally go out there, get a sales license for medical sales and just sell them. Because you sell an MRI machine, you've made more money than 99% of people will make in their whole year. So what are you telling me that you want to make a lot of money for? There's a lot of ways to go out there and make a lot of money. You just might not feel fulfilled doing it. What do you want to do that makes you feel good? What makes you feel satisfied? What makes you feel like you've done something of value? And something like this makes me feel like I've done something of value. And that's why I'm really focused and keen on doing that and being the type of person and coach and mentor that I am.
Yeah, beautiful. Because even here, James said it's an excellent interview, and he thanks you, but he's got to get back to work. So, even just that now, before we've even put this up on iTunes, already getting feedback on how much value you're providing. So that's just phenomenal. Scroll up there. Yeah, beautiful. So yeah, I guess Alex, like with earlier you mentioned as well in regards to techniques and things like that, in regards to actually recording sales call, I think that is such a phenomenal point to make because it's something that not many do. So is there any other I guess tips you can offer in regards to people that are trying to hone their craft, whether it is sales or anything else, but what they can really do to focus more?
Yeah. So I think focus is definitely a very important thing. I'd recommend reading The One Thing. That's a really, really important book. If I can get the link, I'll send it to you guys in here.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks. If you drop in the comments afterwards, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think that's just a hugely important factor. It's written by Gary Keller. If you don't know who Gary Keller is, man, get on it. Get on it. Here's what I'll share. Here's what I'll share about focus, because this is huge in prospecting on demand and in my niche as a whole. A lot of people they mistake information for value and focus. Like what happens is a lot of people take in information through this ear and it just goes directly out the other ear. The focus should be always on implementation. That should be what your focus is, not just take in more, take in more, take in more, take in more. Your mind can only handle a certain amount. It's like a semi-permeable membrane, right? Like some is going in, most of it's going out. So if you're only remembering the garbage of what you're taking in, it's not helping you in any way. It's not helping you. And you don't know, you're not in control of what you're really taking in. And I'm sure you can resonate with this. Sometimes, right, you might get asked a question that's completely like far-fetched outside, but you have the answer to it. So for example, for me, and this is a great one, someone might throw out a question related to sports that I have no business in the real world knowing that answer, but I know the answer because my brain remembers it from something that I've listened to in the last 25 years, right? And that's silly. Yeah. Because what happens means I'm listening to information and my brain's deciding randomly to have this piece of information coded and remembered. So what I do when I'm trying to listen or learn from something is I have a notepad handy consistently to maintain what I'm trying to focus on as the major points that I need to reach out to. So if you watch an hour-long webinar and you don't write any notes on it, what did you actually do in that hour besides just actively listening? The reality is you probably did nothing of value, of worth at all, because you're going to forget everything you just did when you go sit down on the couch and watch Netflix. Straight up, 100%. The focus has to be on what do I need to do to go to the next level in my business. I think a lot of the times people go way too broad. You want to really simplify everything. I think there's a huge problem with information overload and shiny object syndrome in the business world.
That's huge in entrepreneurship. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's like a huge part of my webinar, talking just about how to overcome these two problems. One of the major problems that I see here on Facebook is there's so many gurus and people sharing value and everything that instead of taking the information, people are just taking in more information and not implementing. So you really have to implement what you're learning, or at least have a brain dump document where you can just throw down a whole bunch of stuff and then review it like once a month and just erase the stuff that doesn't matter. If it matters, it will come back up again. I promise you that. I promise you that. So we had a brain dump that we worked on in Slack in 2017. And at the end of the year, we reviewed the entire brain dump. All right. And what we said, what we were going to do is at the end of the year, we'll review the entire brain dump in a 2-hour call with the entire team. So we had 8 people on there. We reviewed the entire brain dump and we came up with a total of 0 things, 0 that were important. The reason why we recognized that was because of all the things that were important that once were on the list, guess what we did? We implemented those things. The things that we left off on it were not important. And they were just there taking up space, the like RAM memory in our brains, right? That not the motivational energy, the working capacity energy that you have. Just remove that garbage. Another big thing that I've learned recently, this is actually really recent, like within the last 2 weeks. One of the big problems I used to have was daily implementation. I'm very good at organization in terms of understanding what my team needs to do as a whole, but me daily I was struggling to figure out what should I be really doing today that's very valuable rather than doing a whole bunch of random stuff. So what I would have is my calendar would be a to-do list essentially, and then time slots taken up. which was a really bad method of doing this. So what I would end up doing was Monday, okay, here's the 20 things I need to do. I did 5 of them, move over the 15 to Tuesday. Now Tuesday already had 7, so 7 on 15. Now it's right, and then I keep moving it off. So Friday becomes this to-do list of all the stuff I didn't do Monday through Thursday. Do you know why I didn't do those things Monday through Thursday, Ross, or anyone watching?
Why is that, Alex? I'd love to know.
Because they probably weren't important as the things that I did do, right? Because your brain is doing risk mitigation, risk management, right? It's looking at these 5 things. Your brain's logically calculating, I have 10 things to do. I've got 30 minutes to do it. What can I do here that's most important? That. And then I move it over. Yeah. If you keep moving something over, that means it's not important. Either remove it completely and watch that nothing bad will happen from it. Put it on a brain dump so it's not on your calendar and you keep moving it over and creating anxiety and tension that you don't need. And 3, delegate it. Give it to someone that can do it for you for a small investment that you're going to get a return on. That's huge. I think those are kind of the major things on focus that I can share. But the ultimate number one biggest thing, when you listen or learn anything, don't just let it go in one ear and out the other. Implement what you find to be the most valuable. Whether it's one thing that you learn from the 25 minutes that we've been talking so far, or whether it's 20, it doesn't matter. But don't just listen to all this while you're cooking dinner and then at the end, like, go sit down and talk to your husband about what they did for real estate today, because then this time was wasted. It's not a good utilization of your time. That's the misstep. That's the mistake people make. They think, oh, I'll listen to this podcast like while I'm at the gym, so I make like time. I did the time right. It's a waste of your time. You should just be listening to music and enjoy yourself rather than listening to a podcast that you're not going to glean anything from.
You might get a little bit in. Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to get any.
But all of it is just,
exactly.
So I'll give you gone.
I'll give you an amazing example. So I went to the gym last week and I listened to an amazing podcast from Trevor Chapman. Amazing entrepreneur, incredible guy. Yeah. And I love everything he said. And as I'm listening to it the whole time, I'm thinking, man, what an incredible, podcast. And I'm working out and I'm doing my thing and I'm running. And at the end of it, I try to always think at the end of me listening to something, I always try to think of like the 3 most important takeaways. Usually I'm writing things down, so it's really easy. Yep. Now I'm an hour in. I'm an hour in, and I didn't write anything down because I was working out, and I can't remember one thing. All I can remember is literally the last 2 minutes of what he's talking about, because that was the last thing my brain heard, and it was completely irrelevant to what I was talking about. It was like something about like a merger with a company that's irrelevant to me. I had to listen to the podcast again because I knew in my mind that it was powerful, but I didn't get to write anything down. So you tell me, was the time spent for an hour working out listening to that worthwhile, or would it have just been better to find the hour that I could actually listen to it and really write it down and implement from? That's the problem. People in our world, we're trying to like life hack everything, trying to shorten our time on everything.
Multitask and everything.
It's not helpful. It's not useful. It just creates anxiety, stress, and information overload that causes you paralysis by analysis. And when you have paralysis by analysis, you don't know where to start. You don't know where to begin. You don't know where to end. And that's a really, really difficult thing. So when you get up to your computer at 9 a.m. in the morning, do you know exactly what you need to do? If you don't know that right now as you're listening to this, that is a wake-up call. Write that down, what I just said. Everything else, I don't care if it's one ear about the other. That right there makes a difference. If you don't know what you're doing, when you wake up at 9 a.m. and you're saying, what should I do today? That's a problem. You should have a set plan and strategy to achieve X goal. That's what you need to be doing.
Yeah, phenomenal. No, that's awesome, Alex. Because everyone at home, if you're getting value from this, we'd love to hear from you. That right there is probably one of the keynote takeaways for today. If you don't know what you're doing for the day, sort your shit out and just make a plan, make a goal. So Alex, that's awesome. So I mean, obviously, you've helped so many people, which is just phenomenal. I mean, the amount that you even mentioned before, and I will edit that out later with not the verbally, but on the edit itself for the post. But I guess for your students, how is it that they are able to progress? Like, is there any tips or anything for those that maybe are starting out that are trying to prospect or learn more about sales or anything like that?
Yeah, so I have a text challenge in my webinar that I start with, and I'll put it in here for you guys because it's a really good way to get started. A lot of people here's the number one objection I get to people purchasing Prospect on Demand. If I could just get one client, then I can afford it, right? And there's this conundrum there, and I lay this out in this specific way. I'll share it with you guys here today so you can kind of understand how it's a cognitive dissonance in your mind. Okay, so here it is, right? If my course or any training that you take is capable of achieving and overcoming the pain point that you have, in this case, landing a client or more than one client, But what you
Yep.
can't do right now is afford to invest in my course. So what you're going to do, here's what you're saying, is you're going to figure out a way to get a client, to get paid, then you're going to invest in this course. But the reason we got on the call today is because you can't figure out a way to get the client. Does that make any sense? The answer is, of course, it makes no sense. So how are you going to get a client? I don't know. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing that I'm doing. Well, that's not useful. So there's two things that I do. One is I offer the opportunity for a payment plan and everything like that. But if they really cannot afford to invest, which happens at points, it's okay. I give them a text challenge. The best way to create a brand new opportunity is to utilize the network you already have and not be afraid of utilizing that network. People get worried, like, what, I haven't spoken to that guy in 5 years, or what if they think I'm a jerk? Like, who gives a shit? You're on your own path.
Yeah, exactly.
You're trying to do your own thing. You're trying to provide for yourself, the people you work with, and your family. That matters more than anyone else and how they think about you. Let's try not to be teenage drama queens here, right? Like, that is what an 18-year-old can think, not a 28-year-old, not even a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be a teenager and worry about what Christina thinks of you wearing the shirt that you're wearing? All right, fine, cool. That's teenager life. I like it. But when you're an entrepreneur, don't be concerned that you're sending a text message to Brad, who you haven't spoken to in 3 years, because Brad could do two things. Look at that text message and say, who the hell is this guy? Click, or say, oh yeah, I actually do know someone. Blah, 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 referral. So the text that I send, and I'll shoot that here in the text in the chat bot for you guys. It's just a text, very simply asking for referrals, letting people know what I do, how I can benefit you, and if you do send me a referral, I'll either pay you. It's two different texts. You can either do recurring. So I would only do that to your closest friends, like really close friends, people that you care about, that you can send money to consistently for helping you out and giving you a big opportunity. Something like $250 per month, $500 per month, or to the acquaintances you send it to, which you should be, a $500 one-time payment. A $500 one-time payment is a lot of money. That is a lot of money on the end side of things, where you don't have to do anything other than create a connection between someone. So I'll read you the text actually right now. Let me get it.
Beautiful. And then
so,
with Rob's, sorry, I thought you were finding it. Well, Rob's got a question for later, which we'll get to afterwards.
Sure, absolutely. So here is the text. The text is, hey, name, what's up? Hope you're well. Quick question. If you can make $500 for about 30 seconds of your time while also helping me out, would you be interested? The reason why you have while also helping me out, people like to help people who like to help themselves.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
I run a marketing agency and we're expanding. If you refer me any business that needs help with marketing and they decide to work with us, I'll pay you $500. We specialize in, but any local business will be just fine. Just send them my contact info or share their details with me via text. Your referrals are greatly appreciated. Thanks. Here's the exact response I got to this guy, Brandon, that I sent to. Hey, bro, great to hear from you. I'd actually be happy to help. Ironically, my brother was just asking me if he knew anyone that could potentially help market his real estate investing business. Would that work for the referral? Got on a call, closed him for $1,500, and sent his brother $500. Actually, we did a little bit less because we gave his brother a discount and same thing. But the point is, this works to create opportunities. People are too afraid, though, to text someone because they're like, oh, I'm worried what they're going to answer. There's nothing to be concerned about. The worst case scenario is they don't answer, or they tell you to, fuck you, and then you lose that guy's number. Because if someone tells you that while you're trying to help your own business grow, why even bother being with that person?
Why have them in your circle?
Exactly. Why? Have people that lift you up, do not tear you down. And if you're used to people tearing you down, be a part of communities like this, where you can clearly see Ross and myself are not tearing you down. Don't make excuses. Make it happen. Yeah. So many people are ready to dive into the excuse level rather than just trying to make something happen because they're used to it. They're used to being coddled, or they're used to being the opposite, dependent on themselves. Either side of the spectrum is bad. Either side, whether you're super dependent on yourself or like overly coddled. Both are bad. What's up, Raina? Happy to have you. So Rob said, what's your advice for helping manage your day when you took on too much work and you feel like you may die? Asking for a friend. Rob, I know all about that. So Rob, I'll give you a great example. Today was like that. So it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern my time. I'm here in the U.S. That means it's the evening time. Technically, I shouldn't be working, but I love doing this, so that's fine. But I'll kind of give you an idea of how this occurred, Rob, and maybe you'll learn from that. So basically, I took a trip with my wife here Friday to Monday. So we took Monday and Friday off. Which led most of my calls. The business runs fine, but most of my calls ended up being today, which is not very good because I don't like all my calls being on one day, basically. So I think I had 6 calls today, most of them for 30 minutes, a couple of them for an hour. Yeah. So basically my whole day. I mean, that's literally basically the whole day. Very draining.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. How do I manage the day when I took too much on? It's not about managing that day. You just got to get through that day. It's about learning to not allow that to happen again. So my learning experience today is, okay, if I'm going to take a trip, I have to be more cognizant that I'm not going to want to take on any calls yesterday. The reason why is I was in Colorado yesterday and I said, oh, I'll take 2 calls yesterday. But I'm there and I'm on vacation and now I don't want to take the call. So I'll move them to today, right? The reality is just be cognizant of what I now know. If I'm on vacation, I don't want to take the calls. And if I do want calls to be done, I'm going to separate them over a couple days, not one day, because one day would be insane. So that's kind of what I learned just, for example, literally today. So Rob, the answer is not how do you manage your day when you do too much? You have to get through that day. Simple as that. What you need to do is not allow that type of day to happen again. That's the key.
Yeah, great key there. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Rob, if that does help, please let us know in the comments. But yeah, look, Alex, this is just, absolutely phenomenal. So many people here commenting, leaving some engagement there. So that's phenomenal. So I guess, what can you see next in your business? Because you're helping so many people and basically just everyone is just be able to just grow because of your assistance. Where can you see your own business going next?
It's a great question. So there's a couple things that I'm working on right now. Some SaaS products, big deal for me. To fill some voids in the entrepreneur space and marketing space that aren't there that I know I can provide. So that's huge.
Yep.
Recurring revenue, passive income is definitely important, and it will allow me to facilitate all the other things that I want to invest in that might not bring in a lot of revenue, but might be very powerful to the community, like volunteer work and things that really matter to me. That's really very important. But at the end of the day, finances really dictate a lot of that, and I'm not getting. I'm not getting any donations or anything, and I'm not asking for donations. So SaaS products and passive income like that will be able to provide for those opportunities. Outside of that, also we are in a heavy focus right now of launching our next step of the value ladder, which is our higher end coaching program. So Prospecting on Demand is in and of itself $997. And it's insane value for that because of everything that we provide and the amount of results that we've had from all the people that are in it. But a lot of people want to get to the next level. So we've done a couple group coaching and one-on-one coaching, but a lot of it was unstructured because it was kind of, hey, you paid for the time, let's talk. But people want structure. That's what they want. They want to be guided, but also knowing that they can have leniency with support. And that's what really we've been focusing on this past month so that we can launch actually in March, POD Elite, which is our larger consulting program. Definitely a higher ticket, more of my one-on-one time to really help you elevate from that, $2,000 to $5,000 a month to $10,000, $25,000, and $50,000 a month. That's really our goal.
Yeah, fantastic. So do you want to tell us a bit more about Prospecting on Demand? Because it's something that, as we were just discussing there, it's been so helpful to so many. So how do people, in essence, get on board, or how do they learn more about it and things like that?
Sure, absolutely. So what I'll do here for sure, I'll send you guys in the link, the link to our web class. Basically what the web class is, it's an hour and 40 minutes. The first hour-ish is all value, straight value. And then at the end, we offer you to join Prospecting on Demand. By the way, a lot of people are asking me about this. Like, Alex, how would you tell people that, like, you have a webinar and at the end there's a sale? Like, if you're on any webinar that has an ad to it and it's even 10 minutes, why wouldn't there be a call to action? Why wouldn't there be an offer? People put this weird onus on the idea that there's something wrong with making an offer, something wrong with doing that. There's only something wrong making an offer if you know full well that you will not provide the service that you are offering.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only thing that's wrong. That's exactly the point, right? So I think a lot of people, reason why they have that attitude is from like movies that we are in, that we see these days, like Wolf on Wall Street or like the ABC, right? I forgot which one with Alec Baldwin. But like people get this convoluted sense of what selling really is. Like, just sell by any means necessary. That's not what we do. We're not selling by any means necessary. We're selling for the people that we can make a difference for, that we can help. That doesn't mean we've never made a mistake. Doesn't mean we've never sold to someone that we couldn't help after the fact. Of course, I've made that mistake. Ross has made that mistake. The people watching have made that mistake. Everyone makes that mistake. But that doesn't mean It's learning. Exactly. And then what you do is you make sure that you try not to make that same mistake again. And all you do is focus and hone in on your customer avatar and how you can help those people. So the web class is prospectingondemand.com/lead HOF, lead Hall of Fame. Basically, the most successful people in prospecting on demand we call Hall of Famers. Obviously, I'm a sports fan, so of course I'd go with Hall of Famers.
Of course.
So basically, that's probably that's the fastest way to garner access to prospecting on demand. You can also reach out to me manually, and if you want to get just direct to the sales page, we can. But I'd really prefer you watch the webinar so you can get a sense of really what POD is all about, because it really makes a difference. I mean, it really, really does make a huge difference in the long run. But ultimately, regardless, my focus is not getting you into POD, anyone here. My focus is for you to overcome the bullshit excuses you're making in your business, because I know a lot of people do that. So I'll leave you with this challenge today. What I want everyone to do is I want everyone to reach out to at least 10 people with the text that I'm going to provide here. I'm going to provide it in the comments. 10 people you're going to provide that to, and you're not going to make any excuses. You're going to do that today or tomorrow. And you're going to send them, and you're going to come back on this post and tell us when you landed a client, because it's going to happen from that. And then when you land a client from that, you're going to watch my webinar, and then you're going to join Prospecting on Demand, because you can see that what I'm telling you is legit. So let me prove to you that this works. That's what I want to show you. I want to show you that these things can work, but I want to prove it to you first. So that's basically how I'd go about this. I just added in the comments here, first of all, the webinar link that you can join, and then the text that you can see as well. And there it is. Should be right there. Boom.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, fantastic. No, awesome. Alex, this has been phenomenal. I really appreciate you coming on. Just the amount of information you've dropped today for everyone to utilize has just been, incredible. So it's been great fun. And everyone at home, thank you for listening. So I guess, Alex, is there anything else you'd like to touch on before we wrap this up today?
Does anyone have any questions? Or Ross, do you have any questions about your business specifically before I hop off? Otherwise, it was a lot of fun, guys. Appreciate the time as always. Appreciate you guys listening. Please don't just allow this to go in here, one out the other. Take advantage of the text I just sent in there. Utilize it. Create this opportunity. It works. People have had sales from this. I've had sales from this. Make it happen. Yeah,
beautiful. No, it's all good on my end. So, yeah, Alex, thank you again for coming on. It's been absolutely incredible. I guess one random question at the end there. What is something you place your most value on? Because I really want to start shifting this show to be a bit more philosophical as well. So,
esoteric. Hell yeah. I'm all about esoteric. So, like, that's my life. Esoteric stuff is my life. I love talking about that stuff. It's easy for me. The value that I place on most is my relationship with my family and my wife and the people that I work with the closest. The reality is that's my why. Anytime I start working with anyone, or if you join POD, the first thing you get is a questionnaire. And the first question after your name and email and everything is, the first question is, what is your vision? What is your why? And then I have a subtext to that, which is, when the going gets tough, what are you doing this for? What's getting you out of bed? Because if you're alone in this business, you might not have the same why as me, because I'm not alone. I have a wife to provide for. I have kids that I want to have. I want to leave a legacy. So that's what drives me. What used to drive me before that, it's hard to remember because I'm so keen and focused on where I'm at now. But if you don't have that type of why, what is it? I want to know so that I can pressure you into that moment when necessary. Because no matter what you do, no matter how successful you've been, business will be like this. Ups and downs, curves, hills and valleys. It's going to happen no matter what you do. Now, systems will try to avoid you from hitting the deepest valley possible, and that's good. But no matter what, you're going to have highs and lows. It's always going to be that way. When you hit the low, when the going gets tough, when you find it difficult to continue moving forward, what is the why that pushes you? What gets you out of your bed to keep on pursuing what you want to pursue? What keeps you going every single day? That would be my wife, without a doubt, 100%. And then the people that I care about most, meaning the Prospecting on Demand family, the people that I know I can make a difference for now, today, and in the future. Those are the things that I value the most.